A big part of the Donkey Kong timeline has changed thanks to Bananza. How can this be? A video by Gamexplain discovered an Easter egg of a billboard referencing the very first Donkey Kong arcade game, suggesting it's a Broadway adaptation of that story. This points out that the events of the original took place long ago, and that the characters are actually the grandparents of DK, Pauline, and Mario. After all, Pauline is a teenager in Bananza, which wouldn't make any sense given that Cranky Kong, the original DK, references that arcade game in Bananza. He, again, is the grandfather of Bananza DK, which further proves the timeline order. So let's get into that family tree and the updated Donkey Kong timeline, as previously recorded by our late and great friend, Jason Dameron, the voice overlord. We dedicate this video and further timelines to you. May you rest in peace. Many years ago, an ape by the name of Donkey Kong and his son Junior ended up as possessions of the abusive and mistreating Jumpman. Taking advantage of his new pets, the mustached man of Italian descent forced DK to perform for people's amusement in his circus, juggling pineapples while avoiding flames on an unstable barrel. This practice continued until the day Donkey Kong had enough, and along with his son, broke out of captivity. Furious, the free ape sought vengeance on Jumpman by abducting his beautiful girlfriend. When Donkey Kong kidnapped Lady and brought her to one of the construction sites in the city, Jumpman came to her rescue. Despite toying with Jumpman by throwing the barrels that he had been forced to balance on and teasing him by bringing Lady higher and higher up the structure, he could not stop the carpenter. After a brief confrontation, DK was brought down to the ground. Lady was rescued, but Jumpman was not pleased and put the ape in a cage as bait. Distraught, Junior set out on a dangerous climb to free his father from the animal-abusing carpenter, and the two left for Donkey Kong Island.
On their way, though, Donkey Kong broke into the greenhouse of an individual named Stanley. After causing some havoc, Stanley forced DK down to the ground and kicked him out of the premise. The time among humans had come to a close, but prior to returning back to his wife, as a good father, DK knew that Junior would need some math to make it on his own in this banana world, which he eventually did, finding a partner and giving birth to a son who he named in honor of his bad-tempered father. He, in return, would soon after be renamed by the other Kongs as Cranky for his constant complaints and increased old man rambling. Yeah, the Kongs can be mean, as they renamed his wife Wrinkly because of, well, her wrinkles. One dark and stormy night, the Kremlings, under orders from King K. Rool, stormed Donkey Kong Island. After a brief skirmish, captured DK's cousin Diddy, who had guard duty until midnight. From here, they locked him inside a barrel and went on to loot Donkey Kong's precious banana hoard. Angered upon realizing what had taken place, Donkey Kong headed out to first free Diddy, be taught by Cranky a thing or two about how much worse games have gotten now that they were in 3D. That's Cranky for you, breaking the fourth wall before it was cool. After a long and treacherous quest across Donkey Kong Island against the Kremlings, DK and Diddy finally reached and confronted King K. Rool on board his flagship, the Gangplank Galleon. They were successful, and upon return home, Cranky told to see the banana hoard, which had been restored to its former glory. Satisfied, Donkey Kong and Diddy settled down and told Cranky about their long adventure. Though initially impressed by their achievement and sales of Donkey Kong Country, Cranky still blamed the success of the first game for being a fluke, tied to the appeal of the high-level graphics found in the game, and that kids would buy anything new and shiny these days. In order to test if Donkey Kong could handle the 8-bit glory of the good old days, he made King K. Rool steal his grandson's bananas once again. Upon proving Cranky wrong and defeating King K. Rool once again, after this journey, things calmed down for a while, until a giant airship, the Flying Croc, belonging to K. Rool, appeared and swiftly kidnapped Donkey Kong. Without the leader of the clan, Diddy and his girlfriend Dixie had no other option but to set out to rescue DK and once again teach King K. Rool and the Kremlings a lesson on their own turf, Crocodile Isle. Following their encounter and battle against Captain K. Rool, Donkey Kong was freed and joined them in the effort to sink the Flying Croc. However, this wasn't the end, as K. Rool relocated to the Lost World, where he eventually was defeated by Diddy and Dixie once again. K. Rool, though, was persistent, kidnapped Donkey Kong once again, and forced Diddy and Dixie to once again fight their way through Crocodile Island, but this time in 8 bits. You know how this ends. The celebration after defeating K. Rool in both the 16-bit and 8-bit realms lasted for months, until one day when both Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong disappeared in the northern Cremisphere. Left alone, she reached out to Funky Kong, who promised to aid her with any vehicle she would need in her search, and told Kiddy Kong to follow along her. Dixie and Kiddy jumped their way to Castle Chaos and defeated the robot inside the castle, which, no surprise to anyone, was controlled by Baron K. Roolenstein. Upon its destruction, Donkey and Diddy emerged out of the wreck and teamed up with Dixie and Kiddy. Even so, K. Rool escaped, forcing Dixie and Kiddy to chase after him to Krematoa and Nautilus. Sick of K. Rool's constant invasions and escapes, the Kongs approached the imprisoned Banana Queen and dispelled the barrier set by K. Rool after locating her children. Allied, the Kongs and the Banana Queen set out to trap K. Roolenstein in a giant egg. Infuriated by this humiliation, upon breaking loose from his imprisonment, K. Roolenstein and his Kremling underlings set out to ruin the Kong's search for the Lost World by discovering it first and get his revenge on Dixie and Kiddy. Ultimately, K. Roolenstein reached the Lost World first, but it was to no avail, as the giant croc was once again defeated by Dixie and Kiddy. Following the struggle against K. Roolenstein, the Kongs hosted the Jungle Jam tournament, where the winner would leave with precious Donkey Kong medals. Just about when Cranky was to declare the festival open, King K. Rool stormed in and stole the main prize. To teach him once again a lesson, Cranky dispatched Donkey and Diddy, seeing as Dixie had gone through enough of trouble. They succeeded and beat K. Rool in his tournament, which didn't go well with the King of Crocs. King K. Rool attempted again by striking the banana alien Xanav and stole his crystal bananas. However, this initial success was cut short thanks to Donkey and Diddy Kong's effort. Diddy took part in a kart racing tournament. When King K. Rool later lost to the Kongs in the Racing Barrel Jungle Grand Prix, enough was enough. King K. Rool's patience had reached its breaking point, and as he turned more and more unstable from his constant failures, he finally decided to use his new weapon, the Blast-O-Matic, to blow up Donkey Kong Island. There was only one problem, as K. Rool had the absolute most incompetent minions. As such, Kremling drivers obviously managed to crash the ship on their way to the target. Disappointed, K. Rool needed a distraction to keep Donkey Kong away from the ship while it was being repaired, and kidnapped several of the Kongs: Diddy, Tiny, Chunky, and last but not least, Lanky Kong.
Here we go.
Meanwhile, Donkey Kong learned about the abduction from Squawks and set out to free the kidnapped apes. Aided by K. Rool, deserter Lumsy, and Funky Kong, DK was able to free more and more of his Kong buddies, acts that made an already tyrannic K. Rool turn more and more insane. By the time the Blast-O-Matic and K. Rool's ship had been repaired, the Kong stormed the installation and deactivated it for good, forcing K. Rool to once again abandon deck on the Flying Croc. Being witness to the Flying Croc, Lumsy, who accidentally bring it down to the island, setting the stage for a final boxing ring confrontation between the Kongs and K. Rool. Upon dealing the final blow, K. Rool, as the coward he was, attempted to flee from the arena, but was tricked by Candy, Funky, and Cranky Kong, who sent him flying out of DK Island for good. DK and the Kongs celebrated, and the Kongs had a good time playing on bongos, and things settled down for a while. Until some bad Kongs under the command of the Ghastly King wreaked havoc and stole all the bananas, which required Donkey Kong's heroic deeds to liberate the different lands and reclaim all bananas. After this brief conflict, Donkey Kong and the other Kongs experienced a time of relative peace, until one peaceful day on Kong Island quickly turned into chaos. As the volcano on the island erupted, the Tiki-Tak tribe emerged to hypnotize the island's animals and steal all the bananas. Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong went on a lengthy quest to the volcano to defeat the Tiki-Taks and their leader Tiki Tong, utilizing the power of the moon. Donkey Kong Island was once again safe and would remain so until Donkey Kong's 20th birthday. On that day, the Snow-Mad Vikings, under the command of Lord Frederick, decided to ruin the celebrations by blowing into a giant horn. Thus, he unleashed the Ice Dragon, which covered DK Island in ice and sent the Kongs flying. Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, Cranky Kong, and Funky Kong ended up on the Lost Mangroves Island and were forced to cross 5 islands and a number of the Snow-Mad Enforcers on their way back to DK Island. After a long struggle, the Kongs finally made their way back home to confront Lord Frederick inside the depths of the volcano. After defeating him and sending him off with his fleet, Donkey Kong blew in the horn to restore the tropical climate to DK Island.
Sometime after this ice-cold encounter, DK set sights on his next great banana target, bringing him from the shores of DK Island to Ingot Isle, home to a surplus of golden banandium gems, crystallized bananas that the ape couldn't possibly resist. During his excavation of said gems, everyone suddenly got sucked up by a flying meteor ship, which then pushed the island down beneath the surface of the earth. DK woke up from the rubble to find an odd sentient rock, whom he befriended through the power of music. Odd Rock joined him on his adventure deeper into the planet, discovering vast worlds beneath. The two then met the Kong Elder, who, through the ancient record, played music for them. This and the sheer power of DK freed Pauline, the assumed granddaughter of Lady from the original Donkey Kong. Speaking of, Cranky also ended up down in the depths with Rambi. Anyway, back to Pauline, as she, despite reluctance, ultimately used her singing voice to transform DK into his buff Kong Bananza form, giving him ultimate gorilla strength. Realizing they both originated from the surface, Pauline asked if DK wanted to find a way back up, upon which the Kong Elder told them that this vertical world required them to go deeper all the way to the planet core before reaching the surface. As legend states, those who reach the planet core will earn their greatest wish and more. Shortly after, they found the culprits behind the theft of the Banandium gems and the imprisonment of young Pauline, an evil mining company called Voidco, led by its unhinged president Void Kong and his associates Grumpy Kong and Poppy Kong. Right here they revealed that they shared one common target, the planet core. The race to the bottom was on. Speaking of racing, in one of the layers, DK reunited with Diddy and Dixie, who reminisced about their country adventures, plus raced against DK and Pauline. All of this was just a fragment of the monkey-human duo's adventure in visiting over a dozen layers, meeting new elders, transforming into zebra, ostrich, elephant, and snake Bananza, and taking on the vicious Voidco members. Along the way, Pauline revealed that her home was in a city, and that her dream was to bring joy to it by singing for them. After a long quest of cooperation and countless bananas, DK and Pauline reached the planet's core where the Banandium root awaited, ready to grant any wish. As expected, Void Kong was here to sour the banana party, as he commanded his former employee Pauline to use her singing power to wake up the Banandium root. After she refused to listen, Void Kong turned DK to stone. Now forced to sing to save her friend, Pauline performed a powerful ballad to bring him back, while also awakening the Banandium root. Void Kong quickly hustled to it, only to discover that it wasn't the Banandium root at all. Too late though, as he was punched away by none other than King K. Rool, who had been trapped under the earth for over 10 years with his Kremling crew. There was a reason why he disappeared from the canon after Donkey Kong 64. With Void Kong out of the way, he dived to the core to get the true Banandium root, with Pauline and DK chasing his tail. Not fast enough though, as King K. Rool made it to the root first and wished to become more powerful. A battle ensued, and Donkey Kong added yet another victory against the Crocodile King. As a result, the Banandium Root combined the wishes of Pauline and DK to return them to the surface by way of a flying mountain of bananas. And that's where the journey would have ended. Nevertheless, King K. Rool would not allow his comeback to end on a whimper. Enraged, he ignited his jetpack to chase the pair up to the surface of Pauline's home, New Donk City. Reaching it first, he claimed the Banandium Root to cover the metropolis in darkness, rot, and propaganda. No ghastly king riding Pig Popo, Tiki, or Viking Lord would replace the true King K. Rool, the ultimate hater and arch nemesis of Cranky's grandson, Donkey Kong. DK and Pauline knew what was required. End the rule of King K and his gigantic boxing ring. There they confronted the final form of K. Rool as the King of Rot. With Home City Girls singing, DK combined his Bonanza transformations to knock out the Crocodile Menace, saving New Donk City. Pauline asked DK to join her as she was about to sing for the entire city, but seeing bananas in his eyes, she instead told him to follow his golden banana dream in the underground world. For a short while, Pauline separated from her friend before making her way down again, all to ask DK for inspiration for the song that would bring her to true stardom at City Hall. This brought the duo on a new adventure, going through the trials brought on by the Elders and the Great Harmonial, thus giving Pauline enough inspiration for her new song. Lyrics and melody combined with a voice that would make her grandma proud. And with the path to becoming the future mayor of New Donk City set, we have reached the end of Donkey Kong Bonanza and the DK timeline. We also have Mario vs. Donkey Kong, but those games are a confusing mess. Anyway, a big thanks once again to the voice overlord Jason Dameron for making all the timelines over the years. We will celebrate him and continue his legacy through all future timeline uploads in the months and years to come. You will always be remembered. And we also like to thank you for watching the complete Donkey Kong timeline to the very end. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and press that notification bell as we will come out with more timeline videos in the near future. We'd also like to thank our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to royal producer JC Funk and heroes Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Kintaro. You all rock, and please enjoy one or both of these 2 awesome videos.